This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Jr.
The villain, Marty Scurll.
The Mexican Rey Fenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose, Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the busted wide open.
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 Boston Wide Open.
Busted wide open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from Twitch. This is the recap of what we just finished watching over on the Royal Rumble. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And yes, Nick, we just got done watching the 2021 Royal Rumble from the WWE. My goodness, Nick, I was not ready for everything that just went down. I'm still catching my on this day. I see clearly. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself because we have to talk about that whole pay-per-view and everything that happened. We had title changes. We had people that are now lined up to main event WrestleMania. And, Nick, we have a new BWO Patrons Pick'ems champion.
And a new booby champ.
And a new booby champ. Yes, that as well.
Yes.
We got new champions all over the place. There's much to discuss. Let's do some business and let's break it down.
Yes, guys, as always, the link to find all the things, the link to find all the links to all the things is linktree.com/BWO. Get into the Facebook discussion group. Come join us in Discord. Boy, it was lively tonight. We had over 50 people in there live chatting. It was fantastic. All kinds of action going on in the live chat. Get into the Discord, folks. It's a lot of fun. Plus, there's more to do in there besides wrestling as well. So find your way around, poke around, have a good time, all kinds of good stuff. You can find links to that at linktree.com/BWO. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Subscribe over at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. And patrons, I hope you guys had fun tonight. It was extremely lively. There were a lot of unexpected turns in that pick'ems. But, yeah, thank you guys for all of the support. We had over 40 people participating in the pick'ems tonight, Ian. It was absolutely magical. Thank you guys all for all the participation and all of the fun. But, yes, we do have some new announcements that we have to make tonight because there are some new names and faces that are going to be the faces that runs the places.
The faces that runs it. It works. We'll get to that.
That runs the places.
Yes, indeed. We will be announcing who our new champions are at the end of the show, as well as who won Nick and my personal little betting that we did on this show. Our own pick'ems for the show. All of that coming down later in the show. But first, Nick, we do need to start with the pre-show and then get into the main show and discuss everything that went down on the Royal Rumble.
Well, this was the first curveball of the night because I sure as shit didn't see this coming. We had a women's tag team championship match on the pre-show.
Yes, it was announced very quickly, right before the show almost, that the women's tag team title match would take place on the pre-show. And actually, once you actually watch the main show, it did make sense.
Sure.
They had no other match that would have been better there, really. And you wouldn't want to put it on the main show and then just, make up a match for the pre-show because that would have taken away from the length of time you had on the main show. And I would argue that every match on the main show was properly timed. Nothing felt too long. Nothing felt too short. So adding that in there would have been tough. But they did a good job, I think, making that decision, making that call. And especially because we always say here, it's very rare that a title changes hands on the pre-show.
Right.
This was not such an occasion.
No, it was
a
not.
Title did change hands. And Charlotte and Asuka lost their titles.
And I have a confession to make for you. I had some second thoughts about my picks on Friday night. And
did
I
you?
made some changes, at least for the pick'ems. I'll gladly honor my picks that I made with you here on the show, but
Naturally.
I made some changes for the pick'ems throughout the day today as I was reading and learning a bit more as we went about it. But I did end up changing my pick to Shayna and Nia here, and it was before the show. It was legit because I thought to myself, there's no way that they could possibly go through this whole thing without flipping a title. Even though they've
Right.
done it in the past,
Mhm.
and there was just no way that I could find that they were going to do it anywhere else. So yeah, I ended up picking Shayna and Nia, luckily. At least
And
for
I
the
think
pick'ems.
that was a smart call. I actually went with my, the old tried and true, which is getting less tried or more tried and less true of thinking that they don't change titles on the pre-show, and just stuck with Charlotte and Asuka and put way too many points on that in the Pick'ems challenge. Good Lord. That was the death knell for me right there, right off the bat. But it does make sense, Nick. It did make sense in hindsight that, sure enough, late in the match, Ric Flair's music would hit, and Charlotte would once again look up the ramp to see her dad up there having a hard time doing the old Flair strut, but still out he comes with Lacey Evans coming out with him. Not with him, excuse me. She came out from behind and sucker punched Charlotte.
With a
and
loaded
then,
fist.
well, ultimately, she did it twice.
Yeah.
Charlotte went up into a figure eight, had Shayna, dead to rights, and Lacey interfered twice, ultimately, as you say, hitting her with a loaded woman's right to take her. I mean, they had to kill Charlotte to pin her here. But they didn't, there was a Nia Jax leg drop. There was all sorts of stuff. I mean, they had to murder Charlotte to have her be pinned. But they did have Charlotte get pinned to lose the belts because of Rick and Lacey Evans. Now, that feud is it's a bit controversial. As certainly on our show, we're not exactly the biggest fans of this feud, but I will say, Nick, on paper, they're doing everything right.
And I will say this was the sole reason why I changed my pick. It wasn't to do really with any of the belts because it was kind of 50-50 toss-up. They could have gone either way. But the fact that they're ramping up into this Ric Flair distraction with Lacey Evans thing a little bit more than they probably should was really the reason that I saw this coming. And
see, it was bizarre for me because I should have seen it coming. You're right. In hindsight, I think you made very good points there. But I should have seen it coming in hindsight but it just seemed to make no sense to put the titles on Charlotte and Asuka that quickly, only to take them off, unless the idea was just to give Charlotte a title to come back to, and then have it be a big loss to Lacey to really kind of put more heat into that feud.
Yeah.
Which, okay, if that's your goal, mission accomplished. Also, coming out of this, it does separate Asuka and Charlotte. Great, they had a little run. And now on the road to WrestleMania, Asuka can be solo and figuring out who's going to be facing her for that championship down the line, hopefully at WrestleMania, and she doesn't lose it before like they always seem to do, is just have Asuka carry it until right before Mania and then drop it, which has happened before. So right now, it does make sense to split them up. It never really made sense to put them together, but once they were together, it's like, okay.
I'm just waiting for the Ric Flair and Lacey Evans wedding that Charlotte is going to be forced to officiate against her will.
Oh God, Nick, no, Nick.
That's really what this could turn out to be.
You keep your Nick booking to yourself, sir. You shut that shit down. That's a no, Nick.
You all know it's coming.
I can't. You're too far away, but take your hand and just do this. Just slap your hand for me. That's bad boy. Bad Nick. That's a bad Nick. No, do not wish that on any of us.
I don't know that anybody really gave a shit about this match, to be honest with you. I mean, ultimately, it is what it is.
It was set up for more later.
It sets up more later than actually has value of the match itself. My voice is a little bit hoarse because there were a few things to scream about tonight, so I'm apologizing in advance. Goodness.
I like that you got excited about it. But again, this match now, because of the finish, actually is relevant. Titles changed hands, a feud was made more hot, and Asuka's now free to do her own thing.
Win.
But if you want to talk about a match that people were not excited about, or maybe were various levels of trepidation, it was the opening match of the show.
Well, before we get into this one, I'm way behind. We have a lot of call-outs to do. So
yeah, that's perfect. So before
we're on level 5 of a hype train. Guys, you got 2 minutes to get some exclusives if you throw in some bits or subs here on the channel. Costanza cheered 100 bits.
Oh.
Said the road to WrestleMania has begun officially. Now
Yes.
it's underway.
It's happening again.
Oh, thank you very much, Chris. Esme threw in 100 bits. Said big handsome boys looking good, sirs. Thank you very much, Esme.
Thank you very much, Esme.
Thank you.
Thank you, probably appreciate it.
Will James threw in 1,000 bits. Said this one's for Birdman. Caw-caw. If you know, you know.
Thank you very much, Will.
Thank you, Will. The Uniwiz threw in 1,000 bits. Said thank you for our BWO family. Still hope I'm doing this right. You did it right. Thank you very much,
You're
Uniwiz.
right. Thank you. Good evening.
Esme threw in 1,000 bits. Hype train. Thank you to everyone in Discord. Y'all are truly the MVPs of the wrestling fans. Yes, thank you guys so much for all the love and participation and just showing up and hanging out with us for a few hours, watching a fun pay-per-view. Thank you.
It's why we call y'all phenomenal.
Yeah. Something like a phenomenon. Abe threw in 1,000 bits. Said he had a blast tonight. Love you all. Seriously, I do. And thank you for showing up at a timely period here, Abe, so that we can get underway.
For the show, yes.
It's kind of late. My voice is is tired. Let's see. Jay Wolf cheered 1,000 bits. Saying, hey, while recovering from pneumonia. Love you guys. Hope everyone had a blast. Dude, please get well soon. Pneumonia is nothing to ish around about. Thank you very much for that. Chris threw in 100 bits, said, Hype Train.
Oh.
Will James threw in 3,000 bits.
Oh, my God.
Oh, we're getting hype? Let's get hype. On this day.
Oh, my goodness.
The 4UK subscribe with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome to the channel. Costanza cheered another 100 bits. Said, keep it going. Get to level 5. And we did officially just complete level 5 hype train. You can keep going. You can keep going. Oh, my God. You guys are amazing. Jay will throw another 100 bits in because the hype train kept it rolling. Abe threw in 100 bits. Thank you, sir. Esme threw in 100 bits. Drew looked damn good tonight. Yes, he did indeed. We're going to talk about him in just a second. Esme threw in
Roman every time, man.
Esme threw in another 100 bits. Said, when are you guys going to have a beard versus hair match? I'm going to let you ask my better half that question, and she will tell you over her dead body.
Beard versus hair?
I guess my beard versus your hair.
I mean, you got more of both, so I don't know if this is fair.
Is it my own internal fight that I'm one beard versus hair? No.
Trust me, you don't want to see me losing either of these. I look sick.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Never.
It's not good.
Never is the answer, Esme. Thank you very much. Costanza threw in another 100 bits. Said Goldberg got his ass whipped. Can he go away now? No, he's got two appearances
match
per year, or he got one more for this year at least.
Yeah.
Probably be another Saudi show.
Probably
to travel.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thank you very much, Chris. Will James threw in another 1,000 bits. Dude, thank you so much, man.
Goodness.
He says, we got to get this level 5 hype train, right? You did.
Thank you.
Roberto BWO cheered 100 bits, said, shout out to Vince for always wanting 2 big single superstars to win the tag champs just to create a feud between them. Yeah, okay. I can kind of see where you're getting that from.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Will James threw in another 500 bits. Said, finish
God.
it. You guys are trying to get that hype train done. I love it.
Oh.
Finish him.
It's getting done.
Thank you, Will. Esme cheered 1,000 bits. God, you guys. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. Said, get it. And Uniwiz cheered 100 bits. Said, Uniwiz is Yardy. And I just put 2 and 2 together.
Now you got that?
Good on Dames and Eden.
There it is.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for all of the love. Thank you for hanging with us tonight.
Amazing.
Oh, what a hype train. Good Lord.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
See, now I'm in a good mood.
Now you talk now about wrestling while I go catch my breath.
I'm ready now. I'm hyped. I'm happy to talk about the next match. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, a match which we were all very much nervous about because WWE does have a habit of just having Goldberg swoop in, spear jackhammer a champion, and steal their belt for a short period of time, especially leading up to WrestleMania or a big show. It's scary. But here we had it again. Goldberg swooped in and said, hey, Drew, you ain't got no respect. I'm just going to decide to get up one day and take your title. And so Drew, not really happy about that, decided to not only headbutt, give him the Glasgow kiss, but spear Goldberg before the match. Spear. Not Claymore, but spear. Goldberg didn't take that too kindly, took him to the outside and speared him through the barricade. That's how you spear someone, boy. And the match hadn't even started yet. And Goldberg got back in the ring, just biding his time, getting his breath back, but biding his time until Drew McIntyre could get back in the ring and call for the match. And after that, Nick, it was 2 minutes and 33 seconds of finisher spam.
Yep.
Claymores and spears and a jackhammer and kickouts of things that most mortal men couldn't kick out of. But in this match, they could.
They did.
For whatever reason. Yep. McIntyre ate, I think like 3 or 4 spears total and a jackhammer.
Kind of ate a jackhammer down on his butt. It didn't land well.
Yeah, well, so not surprising. Goldberg can't really do the jackhammer anymore. But we were especially against a guy the size of he's done Bray Wyatt, Undertaker, and now Drew McIntyre. He's failed at the jackhammer.
Yeah.
But those are, even in his prime, those are 3 big boys.
Yeah. I mean, Drew's 285, I think.
That being said, he jackhammered the Giant in his prime. So what am I talking about? But still, you get something going there. But the bottom line was they did let Goldberg kick out of a Claymore, something no one other than Brock Lesnar's ever done. So at least Goldberg got that. But then the second Claymore put him down. 1, 2, 3. And you could hear all of the hardcore internet fans across this great nation and across this world all at the same time let out a gigantic, oh my God, oh God, oh God. Oh,
I got scared when Drew speared him before the bell rang. I gotta admit.
Nick, I gotta say, was this in some ways kind of a troll job by WWE where they manufactured tension by us just being worried they could actually do this?
Yeah.
Do you think there was some like a little bit of like kind of winking going on with the booking of this match?
Yeah, and they knew they couldn't go that long, so get Goldberg outside and then just let him stand in the ring for 5 minutes for a 2-minute match. And still, ultimately, you've got a 2-minute match.
Well, you have 2-minute matches.
But you had 10 minutes of, all kinds of stuff going on before it.
Yeah, you had their entrances put together, plus the fact that Goldberg came out to his entrance, and then we had the video recap package so he could recover from entering.
Right.
Then we had Drew come out and have the little scuffle beforehand, and then he had about another 2 to 3 minutes of recovering in the ring, and then we had the actual 2.5-minute match. And then afterwards, Goldberg's just pouring sweat, and he's hugging Drew and giving him a shake like, all right, you passed the test. Great. Oh, it was adorable. But yes, all right. Hurdle. We're over the hurdle. Goldberg is not taking the championship. Drew McIntyre is still your WWE champion going forward. All things considered, Nick, did this over-deliver on your expectations of what this was going to be? Like, did they find a way to make it interesting?
I mean, I certainly did not. One, did not expect it to pull the curtain. 2, did not expect Drew to get the preemptive strike in the way that he did. I totally expected it to be 3 minutes of finisher spam. That was my expectation, which we kind of still got. But that was the stuff that happened before the match, and the fact that it pulled the curtain completely caught me off guard. So, yeah. Will James threw in 100 bits. He says, they did an incredible job of making my heart beat on this one. Like it or not, Goldberg is a draw, and they did so right by Drew here.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
100% agree.
Boy, UK threw in 100 bits. He said, Goldberg versus Drew was like a video game, but you had a cheat code, so your finisher bar never ran down, so you just spammed your finisher. Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
That's kind of like a Goldberg match or a Brock match these days. Yeah. It's all right. Everyone's got full bars. Just go.
Thank you guys for the bits.
They can take. And everyone's also got like plus 200 health.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Finishers do half damage. Oh, madness. But at least, hey, again, like I said, Waldorf and Statler watching this match. It was boring. It was terrible. It was finisher spam. It was short. I loved it. Yay!
Exactly.
Yay! It wasn't bad. I didn't honestly the end of the day, it was all it needed to be. We're over that. We can move on to the next thing. Drew gets the rub. Hooray.
Roberto threw in 100 bits too. He said, after another botched jackhammer, I just hope Goldberg's 2-match-a-year deal is over. Where'd it go? Is over and we can't never see him again. I think we're going to see him again.
We're going to see him. Well, first of all, we're going to see him again. But you know what? Honestly, like I was saying, I hope that we are done seeing him fighting the big boys. his Dolph Ziggler feud was what you want Goldberg to be. Little chirpy guy runs his mouth. Goldberg comes out, spear, jackhammer, he's dead.
Right.
Dolph Ziggler on the mat going, come back. I'm not finished with you. He comes back again, spear, jackhammer. We all pop.
Yeah.
And Goldberg walks away again. That's what Goldberg should be. Come down and like his next feud should be against Sami Zayn. You know what I mean?
That'd be great. Yeah.
And just have him annihilate Sami and have Sami sell him like death. Again, just run the Dolph Ziggler feud back.
He doesn't have
That's
to constantly go up against for championships.
No. Have him be an attraction
trope all over again.
He's a draw. He's a name. He's an attraction. All people ever wanted to see him do was murder people.
Yeah.
Not fight your champs.
No.
So keep doing that.
Yeah.
Make him what he always was. But a completely different match followed next. Nick, we had Sasha Banks versus Carmela for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Of course, Carmela's sommelier Reginald was ringside, and he actually was the difference maker in this match. Sasha had things going her way until Reggie got involved, and then Sasha had to take out Reggie. The ref kicked Reggie out of ringside, and then Sasha came back in, and even though Carmela still had a little bit of an edge, Sasha overcame it to ultimately take out Carmela, tapping her out right in the middle of the ring. Bit of they lost the momentum for the finish, but it was fine. Overall, this wrestling match was Nick, it proved again, and I want to see if you have the same opinion. It proved again that even if you do give a pretty crap feud to two talented wrestlers, if you give them a match and you give them enough time, they can go out and put on a damn good match that makes you glad to have watched it.
This was entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I actually thought this is another one that I changed from our original picks Friday night. I actually flipped my pick to Carmella. This was my flyer pick of the night.
You now.
I did. So when she locked her up into the cone of silence there at the end, I was like, oh, wow, okay. Did I really just pull 2 for 2 on the changes here? Jesus. But no, ultimately she got out, got her into the bank statement, and it was over. So I agree with you. Your point is that, yes, while we may not like the feud, it's not for everybody. There is an audience for it, much like there was an audience for the Lashley and Lana stuff a year ago. You know, there was an audience for that stuff. So it was serving some kind of audience. It just doesn't happen to be mostly our audience.
Yeah, it's kind of like a restaurant where I hate the decor in the restaurant, but the food's good, so I'll eat there. Fine. Yeah. Did you call it the cone of silence?
Code of silence.
Code. Okay, I was just making.
I might have said
making
cone.
sure.
My bad.
Because the cone of silence just makes you think like one of those dog cones
right.
you get, you don't want your dog to lick.
Yeah, they don't want to
I'm
lick
just imagining
the stitches or anything like that.
Yeah, like Carmella gets injured and she comes out in a dog cone, and just puts people into the cone of silence. No.
The Uniwiz threw in 100 bits. He says, "Can I say you guys look very handsome tonight?"
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Yardy.
Why, thank you very much.
I wish I knew how to say thank you in Belgium. Belgian. Is Belgian the language? In Belgium?
I know Donka. That's about it.
Oh, yeah. Yardy, tell us how to say thank you in your native tongue.
In the language of your people.
Yes. Esme gifted a tier 1 sub to Ironhide 187. Ironhide, make sure you thank Esme. There you go. Esme, thank you for the gift sub. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We had a tip come in too, but I'm going to save that one till the end because I don't want to spoil anything. But we'll save that one till the end.
Interesting. I am curious.
Yep.
All right.
It's our champion.
Nice. So ultimately here, again, I liked what we saw in this match. Carmella gets a lot of flack, but here she's working with probably one of their best technical women's wrestlers, one of them, in Sasha Banks. And it showed that you can really, she can step up her game to the level that she's at. This was I thought a very well wrestled match. It didn't really do anything new.
No.
But it really did show these two women can work well together. And so ultimately, I have to look back on this feud and say, you know what, the actual week-to-week wasn't great, but the matches were. And that's what we're really going to remember because we're going to be able to watch the pay-per-views more than anything else. We're going to go back to the pay-per-views and remember, oh, yeah, those matches were good. But is this a pattern that WWE has had for decades where they put two talented people together and they're going to have good matches? They just can't surround them with good stuff, with good plot or with good segments? Like, what do you think they could have done to have fixed this?
I'm
this
not
feud?
sure. I feel like the interference with Reginald was a little bit overdone initially, and the kicking him out was a little bit too soon. I feel like there was more to do there. But once they were just in the ring wrestling, the two of them, the various grappling and moves that they were doing, strikes that they were doing and whatnot, it was fine. It told no real story. Like, the story of the match to me was Reginald's interference. The sommelier's interference was going to be the part of it, was going to be the thing that she had an advantage, and Sasha had to constantly keep an eye out, and we saw that early on in the match. But once he was gone, it kind of fell a little flat, other than their work in the ring. So I'm not sure where this goes from here. She's now beaten her handily several times. What does Carmela do now? We've repackaged her. She's got a valet in a Cirque du Sommelier who is phenomenal in the ring, we've seen, just flying around all over the place. Can we find something for those two to do now that they're past this feud?
That is the question, is what is next for Sasha and Carmela? Like, we would assume Sasha would maybe go into a WrestleMania feud at this point, given who won the Women's Royal Rumble, which we'll talk about next. Or does Carmela kind of still stay a bee in her bonnet for a little while longer to give them a little time to build that angle?
I don't know.
So I'm curious. And if not, I mean, the same question goes for the other big match that we had that wasn't a Rumble match, and that's Owens versus Reigns, is with the losers of these matches, what do you do next with them? You know, these were kind of holdover feuds to get us to post Royal Rumble. Now, what do you do with the losers of these feuds? Do they fade away again? What do you do?
Yeah, the Royal Rumble's always, it's going to start new. It's going to start us again. The road to WrestleMania, I think, is going to start new feuds. I think we're going to see a lot of new stuff crop up that we're going to be watching through Fastlane all the way to WrestleMania.
I would imagine so. We had at a certain point in the show here, Nick, I got to bring it up right now.
Okay.
Bad Bunny, who is they don't even have things. I guess he's a platinum selling artist, Grammy Award winning artist.
He's the number one streamed
thing
on Spotify.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I'm sorry. You didn't watch his performance.
No,
you walked
I don't
away.
get it. I mean, I don't get it.
Oh, you don't get why? Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Nick, is he came out and did a performance of his song Booker T, with Booker T just standing there and doing nothing for the entire song, and then just screaming out, "Can you dig it?" Suck at the end. And Nick, this is where we're going to show our age.
Yeah.
But this was not the performance. They did not do this performance for me.
Well, I'm also going to qualify what were the criticisms we're going to have with the fact that we had several of our Latino and Latina phenomenal ones saying that they apologized for this. This does not represent the Latin community in any way. But and we also have some people from Puerto Rico where he is from, that he is the pride of Puerto Rico. So.
Yes, he's such a pride of Puerto Rico. They kicked him out, and he hasn't been back.
Right.
No, I don't know. I jest. Obviously, people listen to him. Obviously, he's a popular performing artist, and people listen to him.
I'd never heard of this before tonight.
I'd heard of him. I work at a bar. We play, modern pop music, and
I bet you love that.
And I've heard him before. Right. I have never seen him perform. And Nick, if I'm honest here, if I'm 100% honest, I hope I never see him, quote unquote, perform again.
I will say he performs better in the ring already than Snoop Dogg.
Yes, he did actually have an appearance in the Men's Royal Rumble, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which sprung from the fact that he had an altercation with Miz and Morrison in the back hallway, where they wanted him to hang out with them.
They wanted to do a collab.
Yeah, and he wasn't down with doing a song with them, and then they started dissing Booker T. Like, why would you do a collaboration with that loser, Booker T? And then Booker T ended up looming behind Miz, scaring the crap out of him, and ended up going into Bad Bunny's dressing room, and Miz and Morrison slink off. And then Miz trashed his DJ station later, so on the way to the ring in the Royal Rumble. So Bad Bunny did end up showing him in the Men's Royal Rumble, and did have a spot where he jumped off the top rope onto Miz and Morrison on the outside and almost died. His plant foot slipped, and luckily they're smart enough to get close and realize he wasn't going to go flying too far. They got close and caught him. But yay, I prefer the Machine Gun Kelly spot where Kevin Owens just power slammed him off the stage.
Right.
That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? I want to see like a modern artist that I really don't care for get absolutely annihilated. I like that more.
Costanza threw in 100 bits. He said the only good thing about Bad Bunny was R-Truth being Elmer Fudd because he was hunting wabbits.
Hey man, if he had come out with a shotgun, no, I'm not even going to say it. The bottom line is that Bad Bunny's performance was not for me. Nick, I can pretty much safely say it was not for you either. But you know what? I get why they did it. Get that mainstream exposure. He is one of the biggest selling artists in the world right now. So props to them for getting that exposure. Hope it worked out.
I mean, you had NF. Like, he's legit. Where's Bad Bunny coming from? Like, Nate is the real deal. I don't know what this was. Why couldn't we have we have a performance from NF coming out and performing the search?
Wrong guy to ask. I'm sitting here going, what are you kids listening to?
I love rap. I love hip hop. I listen to a lot. Most of the stuff I listen to is 80s and 90s, admittedly, but I don't get this. This is not for me.
I'm Principal Skinner right now.
Yeah.
Like, is it me? Am I getting old? And like, no, it is the kids that are wrong.
Yeah.
It is the kids that are wrong. Terrible.
Yeah.
The Women's Royal Rumble, Nick. Let's talk about something real. The Women's Royal Rumble here was the next thing on the card. And my goodness.
Easily the best Women's Royal Rumble ever?
It's certainly up there. I don't know. I would say the middle fell off badly. Strangely enough, because the first half, I would say, was a very strong match. It was very exciting, and you had a lot of people coming out that were very exciting. They came out, when they came out, some underlying stories that kept things entertaining, kept things moving, helped cover the seams, if you will. And then, funnily enough, halfway through this thing, at 14, Rhea Ripley comes out. At 15, Charlotte Flair comes out. And then actually at 17, Tori Wilson comes out. And it was like everything died. It just went flat for about 10 to 15 minutes.
I feel like they might have blown their wad a little early bringing Rhea and Charlotte out that early. I feel like they should have been in the 20s. It was nice to see them in there and have all of the action that they did, but I feel like those were more climax moments of towards the end of the match, right? It's a big deal when those two come out.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild that they only had one elimination for the first 14 or 15 people. They only had one elimination. Shotzi Blackheart, who came out at 5th, was eliminated first by Shayna Baszler, who came out at the 6th position. But that even took a while to get Shotzi. Shotzi got out pretty soon.
I need to ask you about Shotzi real quick. You had some fears and some hesitations about her coming up to Maine.
Yes.
Because you weren't sure he would get it, or you weren't sure they would let her use the tank, or all of those things, all of the above. Are you sated and happy with how Shotzi Blackheart debuted tonight?
No, and she debuted last year at the Royal Rumble, but here's the thing. She came out, Billie Kay, who came out 4th.
Yeah.
Billie Kay was doing her thing where she's like, I'm not going to get in the ring. I'm going to sit over there with Michael Cole and show him my resume. And then everyone who comes out, I'm going to try and team up with them because that's the way.
Yeah.
And so she kept going to people that would come out and try to hang out with them. Shotzi came out and with the tank and shot her little cannon at Billie Kay, and Billie Kay went screaming. She shot it right over me head. And then Shayna Baszler came out and beat the crap out of Billie Kay, which was funny. Toni Storm came out and ignored her. And then out came Jillian Hall, which is a blast from the past.
Damn.
Singing her song. As Sheriff McDonald pointed out, she did not have the growth on her face anymore. Boogeyman did consume that, and it did not grow back. So good for her.
Yep.
But yet, randomly, no one had that on their card, Jillian Hall. But then Billy they teamed up, and we had Jillian and Billy. Jillian and Billy.
Yep.
Jillian and Billy. They got in the ring and were a bit of a force until Ruby Riott came out next. And started making Billy wonder what side she was on. And then Peyton Royce came out, and we had a nice little Iconics reunion moment, including a moment, sort of, because there was even a moment where, Ruby Riott was like, we need your help, and Billy was forced to choose between the Iconics and the Riot Squad.
Peyton
So,
got
again,
left hanging.
Right, but again, that was the ongoing thread for the first half of this. Was Billy was very entertaining, and we had some nice surprises. It played into the story that we were seeing. You had people who were being dominant. You had people who were being, there just to kind of show up. But you also had the first two women of the match showing out the entire time.
Yeah.
Or the first three women, excuse me. And that was Bayley, who came out at number 1. You had Naomi, who came back. She came out at number 2. And then Bianca Belair came out at number 3. And the three of those women were definitely keeping it entertaining for that entire time, too, and doing a ton of work. Whether it was character work or in-ring work, they were keeping things busy. But then at number 10, you had Victoria come out, 11, Peyton Royce, 12, Santana Garrett getting called up from NXT for a second. And she had
AF.
Underrated as hell. She had some nice spots. In fact, when she ended up getting eliminated by Charlotte later on, Charlotte clubbed her down, and she actually did the splits on the outside instead of just falling. It was actually pretty cool. It was a nice elimination spot. Liv Morgan came out at 13, and then, as we said, 14, 15, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, 16, Dana Brooke, 17, Tori Wilson. And this is where it started to die, because then Lacey Evans came out with Ric Flair at 18, Mickie James at 19, and they both had some issues with Charlotte. And it kind of became about Charlotte. And even Rhea Ripley didn't get much time to look like a badass before Charlotte came out.
Yeah.
She
came
eliminated.
out right before.
Right, exactly. She came right before her, and Ripley actually eliminated Toni Storm right off the bat, and then Santana Garrett a little bit later.
Right.
After Shayna Baszler had given a nasty choke to Victoria. Victoria, by the way, had some nice moments. Didn't look like she wasn't as springy as she used to be in her step. But her elimination
still pulled off a Widow's Peak. Looked great.
And a tarantula.
Yeah.
And she did a tarantula before Shayna Baszler grabbed her on the outside and gave her an elevated choke, just a hangman choke on the outside, which just looked nasty. Just nasty, and dumped her. But yeah, she looked good. But again, then things just kind of bleh.
Yeah.
Charlotte had a little thing with Lacey, that went away. Charlotte had a little thing with Mickie, that went away. Nikki Cross came out and had a little spot of doing some stuff before she got eliminated. And then we had Alicia Fox come out. And this is when it really, I think, Nick, bottomed out for me.
Yep.
Is Alicia Fox comes out, and instead of getting in the match and doing something, she is then distracted almost immediately by R-Truth. And there's a bit of business where R-Truth comes in, and all of the 24/7 guys chase him into the ring, and she ends up pinning him and winning the 24/7 championship before getting eliminated, and he wins it back from her. And then gets chased off by her and all the other 24/7 guys. Was this spot necessary, or did it feel like they didn't have anything for the middle of the Royal Rumble and just threw this in there to keep people's attention? And if so, did it disrupt the flow?
I feel like they should not have this kind of shenaniganry in the middle of a Royal. If you want to do it between matches, fine. If you want to pre-record something to run from like backstage, whatever, fine. Don't do that. I felt like it was borderline disrespectful, if not completely disrespectful to all the women that were in this big of a match. This is a big match. Yep. And I actually found it a little bit offensive that they would interrupt this like this.
You know what's funny, though, is like, I don't know if I would go so far as to say offensive. It felt like they wanted to have the intermission with the clowns, right? Yes, we're having the big match, and then, all right, it's intermission. We're going to be silly for a second. And
Everybody
then, okay, back to the match. What it did for me, though, was undercut the momentum of the match, and it took it a second for it to get it back. It took the match a second to recover from that, let's call it an intermission, in the middle of the match. And it did. You had Mandy Rose come out next, Dakota Kai, Carmela, and Tamina, all of them kind of, with an underwhelming feeling, like just because it didn't have the same chugging along, oh crap, who's next feeling of the first half. And some of the eliminations didn't feel as big of a deal either. Rhea Ripley was cleaning house with the eliminations. She took out Dakota Kai and then Mandy Rose and then Carmela after Carmela took out Nikki Cross. And then she got to her number 7 by taking out Alexa Bliss. who came out and was being happy and playful, playground Alexa, and then at a certain point, everyone dogpiled on her and realized what the threat she was, and she got so beat up that she started to transform or metamorph. The lights started coming down. Everyone goes, "Oh crap! Here comes Fiend Alexa." And the smartest damn thing of this entire match, Nick, was everyone tossing her out before she could transform.
Yep.
Because I was screaming, "Oh God, toss her out! She's gonna turn up. She'll kill you all. She'll kill you all." They tossed her, and Alexa was in and out like that. Great. Great. We were worried Alexa was going to win it at one point because she could.
There were quite a few patrons that picked her to win the Rumble match.
And I don't think it's a bad pick.
No.
They absolutely could have booked her to win this. It would have been a terrible decision.
Yeah.
But they could have. And they found a way to show that she's terrifying and she's a threat, but not have her be the winner. And that's what you have to do with her and the Fiend, right? Show that they're intimidating, all of that. They shouldn't be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So once she was gone, it was like, that was when it kind of came back, was okay. Whew, and then things started rolling again. And then business really started picking up. You had Tamina, Lana came out after that, Alexa Bliss, Ember Moon, Nia Jax, and Natalya were your last three.
Now, there was a lot of speculation that Natalya was going to get jumped and somebody else, big surprise, was going to get. Charlotte was doing an interview that said somebody you would never expect is going to come back. And everybody's like, Becky, oh my God, Becky's going to come back early. Oh my God. But no.
Yeah. No, instead we had Nia Jax taking out her tag team partner Shayna Baszler and then getting enraged by Lana and flinging herself over the top rope in an attempt to run Lana down. And then the two of them decided to destroy everybody, including Natalya, who did get jumped before she got into the ring, but then was thrown into the ring by Shayna and Nia on their way out. Apparently they're fine with tossing each other over the ring. It's fine. But then, so we get down to the final four. Lana gets tossed, and it's down to Natalya, Bianca Belair, who's been there since spot number 3, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley. And I got to say, Nick, that's, aside from Alexa Bliss, that's pretty much, well, Natalya then got tossed next. So you're down to Flair, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley.
And we had a cool moment between the three of them where Charlotte was telling them, "Okay, girls, all right, let's get up. Time to work."
You
just
got
us
three of the most Amazonian jacked chicks in WWE right there in the ring. That was an exciting final three, especially because between Vegas odds and even our own pick'ems, those were the choices. That was it.
Mostly Rhea and Bianca, yeah.
Mostly Rhea and Bianca, and sure enough, they ended up teaming up and taking out Charlotte, and Charlotte ended up going out, falling on the outside, and then looking back and laughing like, all right, y'all two are the next best thing. All right, you're the next big thing.
And that's what I wanted to talk about because we were left with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, and there was this moment that I had, and I think a lot of people had, where we recognized and realized what we were looking at. We are looking at the next 5 years of the women's division in WWE.
Yes. Nick, this is something you've talked about since we started the show, is when will WWE move on from the 4 horsewomen? Nick, this is your moment, buddy. Pat yourself on the back, take a moment. This was it. This was the moment WWE said, we're moving on from the 4 horsewomen. There will be other women. We're going to start promoting them now.
Yes.
And either way, I think we could have been happy with either of these women going over here because as we said, either one of these should be main eventing WrestleMania.
Agreed.
Our conclusion on the show was that Bianca needs it more. Ripley has already main evented a WrestleMania with Charlotte. She will get back there again. She has a built-in story with Charlotte, who is a main event on her own without having to win the Royal Rumble. Rhea can get there without the Rumble.
Agreed.
Bianca needs that gold ribbon, that blue ribbon. She needs that moment. That rocket needs to be lit. And the Rumble's a perfect way to do it for her.
And I anticipate the matches between her and Sasha Banks. I'm calling it now. I think she's going to call out Sasha Banks.
Because that was the finish from that point on was spectacular. You had Bianca and Rhea almost eliminate each other, and they were both lying on the outside of the ring. They said, okay, let's not do anything dumb. Let's get back into the ring, and let's go for it. And damn it, Nick, they went for it. The reversals in the end of this Royal Rumble, I want someone else to find me a Royal Rumble that had more fast-paced, exciting reversals in the last 2 minutes.
There were quite a few last year between, was it Roman and Drew?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some, but usually it's like this was not just missing finishers. This was also like turning around and reversing arm grabs and waist
dodging
locks,
clotheslines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good reversing here. Like I feel like they worked on this last bit because it was clean as a whistle, and even down to the very last reversal. You didn't know who was going over the top, and at the last second, reversing an Irish whip into a clothesline, Bianca taking Rhea over the top to win the whole thing, and then collapsing and being given a really amazing emotional speech afterwards, thanking her mom. Oh, Jesus!
Pyro,
she's
finger pointing at the sign, everything.
She's in tears. She gives an emotional speech, which they had to have loved backstage. It's the kind of speech you want to see out of somebody when they win something like this.
She's in tears. I'm in tears. I mean, no, I wasn't. I did not. I was not. It was not Dusty at all.
Dusty. But there it is. Bianca Belair is your Royal Rumble winner of 2021. Rhea Ripley on the outside afterwards, banging the floor, obviously upset, but Nick, we said Bianca was the one who needed the Rockets. She got the Rockets. You're calling Sasha Banks for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking, is Bianca versus Sasha.
Yeah. It makes more sense than Asuka, and I will be completely surprised if Asuka is the one carrying the Raw Women's title into WrestleMania. I hate saying that, but I firmly believe that. I
will be too. I wonder if Charlotte takes it and Bianca goes for Charlotte.
I wouldn't want that. We've been down this road before, Sir Ian Dangerous, and I wouldn't want that for our newly anointed Royal Rumble winner.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Charlotte's going to take it from Asuka either way, but then Rhea will come for her rematch. Hopefully, I don't know. Honestly, the way that they booked Rhea for the middle part of this Royal Rumble makes me wonder if they really have her. If that's the story they want to tell with her, or if last year was just a bit of bad booking where they had her beaten at WrestleMania and then sent her down to NXT with nothing to do. I wonder if that's just bad booking. But at the end of the day, I think this was the right call. Bianca is the right person to win the Royal Rumble. We said, if not now, when? You've got to do it. They did it. Couldn't be happier that they did it.
Yep. I got a lot of catching up to do.
I don't doubt
lots
it.
of people wanted to weigh in on this for sure.
Yes.
Still talking about Bad Bunny earlier. Esme cheered 100 bits, says she'd rather hear Limp Bizkit than Bad Bunny.
Ooh, that's a close one, but
I would agree with that, frankly.
I might be. Oh God.
Yeah.
No.
You're gonna have to say you would actually choose Limp Bizkit.
No, I don't want to. I can't, Nick. I can't.
Rolling.
Which Limp Bizkit song? At least Bad Bunny is somewhat innocuous.
Yeah.
That rolling song makes me want to throw myself out a window. I want to defenestrate. I want to self-defenestrate when I hear that song.
What? I don't even know that word. What is that?
I want to self-defenestrate.
What is
throw myself
defenestrate?
out a window. Throw myself out a window. To be thrown out a window. Defenestration.
Just when you think you can't learn anything new. Holy smokes. Thank you very much, Esme. Kyle threw in 100 bits. He says, Rhea and Bianca as the final two felt very much like Batista and Cena as the final two. That's a good point. The message is that these are the next big stars. Yes. Frankly, the quality of this Rumble is very similar to the 05 one. Not a lot of stars, but a statement with the two finalists. That's a great comparison, Kyle. I like that. Because those two went on to have great careers after that.
Yes, big time.
Thank you. Will James threw in 100 bits. He says, I legit hoped Billie Kay would hand an 8x10 out to each and every participant of the Rumble, but she definitely had full control of that brass ring tonight.
She didn't just grab that brass ring, man. She grabbed that brass ring. She put it up on her wrist and said, this is my new damn bracelet.
Right.
This belongs to me now.
Thank you, Will. The Foy UK cheered 100 bits. Said everything in this match involving a Billie Kay was amazing, from commentary to trying to make friends to Jilly and Billy. Her being conflicted when whether to reform the Iconics or help the Riot Squad. Yeah, that was the moment for me when Peyton fully did the Iconic thing and she turned away and went over to help Ruby Riot. I just went.
And then when she did ultimately get tossed by the Riot Squad, there was this camera shot where the Riot Squad tossed her. Yeah. And you see that in the foreground, and you see Peyton turn and realize what's happening in the background, and her like surprised, big-eyed, oh my God face was beautiful.
Yeah, really, really good.
Was beautiful.
Thank you, the Foy. J Wolf threw in 100 bits. He says, Vince, can we please reunite the Iconics? Please. I think that that damage might be done. That ship might have sailed, unfortunately. I think they've got plans. I hope they've got plans for Peyton. Because
I hope they
the
have plans
splitting
for
of the
Peyton.
Iconics was under the assumption that they had plans for Peyton Royce, and Billy Kay's the one that's been getting all the TV time.
Well, we found out in an interview the last 2 weeks that they were told very suddenly. Like they were not given much advance notice about their split up. They were given like at most 24 hours, not even in the day of. And they were both like, why are you doing this? And you know what? To find out they had no idea why they did it, like the company had no plans, has to be just gutting.
Somewhere in the distance, FTR is gut laughing hard.
I don't know if they're gut laughing. They're more shaking their heads sadly.
Yeah, that's true.
A single tear falls down Harwood's face.
Thank you very much, Jay. Will James threw in 100 bits. Said Alicia Fox is absolutely the right person to involve in the 24/7 title, but do it after she gets eliminated, not during the match. I don't care whether it was Alicia Fox. It could have been anybody. I'm upset that they completely interrupted and diverted our attention away from a match that, sure, while it was, decelerating a little bit, it was going to ramp back up, and I wanted to see the action that was going on in the ring, not shenanigans. That's what I'm upset about. I feel like my focus was taken away from the thing that I showed up to watch.
Well, my problem was where they put it. I don't mind if you want to have like a funny little interlude. Okay, fine, I get it. It was at a point where it should have really been picking up some steam, some hard-hitting steam, and instead what it did was just stop it dead in its tracks. Yep. So that was the one issue I had with this.
Yep. Thank you, Will. Esme threw in 100 bits, said, why couldn't they do it during the men's? Why do it during the women's?
Because it would have ruined the men's, and the men's was really good.
Yeah.
The men's was really solid.
Good. It was just in that lull in the middle.
Yeah, it just died in the middle. And I think if they'd put this in the men's, it would have died in the middle of the men's. Yeah. Because the men's had a very similar structure in terms of building stories from the beginning and then coming down to the end. It was very similar in a lot of ways. But just didn't have that horrible thing in the middle that cut the legs out from it.
Thank you very much, Esme. We had a Nick Guard 1 sighting while we were talking about the women's match. Yardy bought a BWO logo mug. Those mugs are hot. If you guys don't have one yet, make sure and grab yourself one. They're larger, oversized mugs. They're fantastic. Everybody that's gotten one has raved about them, so enjoy.
Yeah.
You can do exclamation merch or find the link in chat if you guys want to grab one. And thank you for doing that, Yardy. It was good to see Nick Guard 1 again. We also have T-shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stickers, mouse pads, all kinds of stuff over on the merch stores. Thank you guys for all the support. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said, I think everything with the 24/7 title tonight finally killed it for me outright. If all you're going to do is go back to Truth, stop doing it in big matches.
Well, it didn't go back to Truth by the end of the show because Truth ended up showing up on a panel on their pre-show panel with Layfield, and there was Booker T wasn't there because he was backstage mugging with Miz and Morrison. But you had Layfield and Pete Rosenberg and Charlie Caruso, and they were all talking to Truth. And then out of freaking nowhere, Pete Rosenberg decides to low blow Truth and pin him. 1, 2, 3. Pete Rosenberg is your 24/7 champion. And between Sonya Deville and Layfield sitting there going, this is the worst thing's ever happened to wrestling.
Yeah.
Which cracked me way up.
Yeah.
And just the idea of Pete Rosenberg running around with a belt. I mean, in some ways, this kind of gets back to the core of what it should be, which is random people taking it and taking it onto other shows and running around with it, and it just being kind of a goofy thing to get a little bit of outside exposure. Why not? Right? Why not? But
oh well. Thank you very much, Kyle. Kyle threw in another 100 bits that said, point of order, Rhea eliminated Alexa by herself, but I have to ask, was Rhea selling way too much given how dominant statistically she was booked? Like, she was selling for stuff she really shouldn't, even though I respect her for doing it. She did feel like she was laying out a little bit in certain points.
Yeah, I feel like bringing her in next to Charlotte was a bad idea because she immediately seemed underpowered next to Charlotte and underwhelming next to her. And then she had to sell a lot to get out of the way of Charlotte. And she tossed a ton of people over. If you look at the actual stats, I think she had the most eliminations in the whole thing. But if you actually watch the match, you're right. She didn't look very dominant. She just looked like a survivor.
Yeah.
Whereas last year she looked like a world ender. So no, I don't think Rhea was booked very well through the guts of the match.
I don't think she should have come in the spot. Like you said, either right next to Charlotte or both of them. I think both of them should have come in the early to mid-20s. Kind of like Drew coming in at 21 last year.
Have Charlotte come in where she did. Have her get her business with Mickey and Lacey out of the way. Have Rhea come in. Switch her and Dakota.
Sure.
Right? Dakota, didn't matter where Dakota was. She was going to get tossed.
Yeah.
Have Dakota come in where she was, and then have Rhea come in at 23 and just toss a bunch of people. Because by that point, a bunch of people you could toss. There were almost no one got tossed in the first half of this match. This match got packed.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that.
Same here.
Yep. Esme threw in 100 bits, said legit tears when she got interviewed after talking about Bianca. Yeah, I was very, very happy that because I had concerns going into the final three with Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley in there. I had legit concerns that they weren't going to do this. And then when Charlotte went out, I went, okay, I wouldn't be mad at either of these two winning.
I wouldn't be mad at either one. There's one I want a little bit more because it makes more sense for me, and they will get a lot of criticism if they put Rhea over Bianca for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons why I think they would get. I would actually criticize them and be like, guys, that's a bad look. That's a bad look to do that. But I think they did the right thing. But that being said, that genuine emotion in Bianca after the match, I could almost imagine producers and everyone backstage high-fiving, like, yes, okay, we did the right thing. She is the one. Great. With moments like that are what our company wants and needs.
Yep.
And it's not something you can't train it. You can't train that into somebody. Either they can do that or they can't.
Yep.
So
you already threw in 100 bits, and he wants to ask you Limp Bizkit or Kid Rock.
Limp Bizkit, because I actually have personal issues with Kid Rock stemming back to about 2002. So Kid Rock, personally not a fan of the man.
Yeah. Thank you, Yardy. As we threw in another 100 bits, said King during the Rumble was nails on a chalkboard. That's another thing that we need to address and move on, but not spend a lot of time on it. But I have been vocal about both AEW and WWE kind of moving on from JR and Jerry the King Lawler. And it's fine to put him on the pre-show, sure, but we do not need to have him calling a women's Royal Rumble match. It's not 1998 anymore. It's just I don't know why we continue. It's great that they are Hall of Famers. It's great that they are legends in their own right for what they've done. Everything that Lawler did for Memphis and that scene. Listen, I understand. I don't want to hear him on commentary anymore.
It's more that I feel like you need to trust the commentators that you have. I know that JR, that Lawler has done a lot of Royal Rumbles. He has the experience. He's a steady hand out there. He can make sure that, they cover the gaps and that sort of thing, and he keeps things going. I get that. At some point, you have to trust your current desk to do it. Otherwise, why are they there?
Exactly. Thank you, Esme. Last, Andy threw in 100 bits. He said Charlotte doing the job for Rhea and Bianca and leaving them as the final two shows that the company is all in on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good point. Thank you, Andy.
And that's a beautiful thing. Because I was worried about Rhea in the halfway through this match. I'm like, man, they're really not making her look good right now.
No. So then we had another match.
Yes, that's how these shows work, Nick, because we have another match. It was Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, last man standing. And, Nick, we say all the time about how they like to have, different, there's like a smorgasbord. It's a buffet. We get different kinds of matches all over the show. You had the quick slobber knocker finisher spam at the top of the show. You had a nice little tag team match in the pre-show. You had, your technical match. I guess you're standing for a technical match with Sasha and Carmela. And then you had your big, crazy, hardcore, holy shit spot, last man standing match with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. And there was a lot of big spots in this match, Nick. There was a ton of big spots. Kevin Owens went flying off the top of the Thunderdome again. Roman Reigns tossed him off of there. Roman ends up dragging him backstage, so we see the whole field behind them, which was pretty cool. Roman hits Kevin Owens with a golf cart. Unlike Sammy Guevara, who just bounced off the side, Kevin went right through the damn screen on the front of it, hit Roman in the face, and he was bleeding from the lip for the rest of the match.
Kevin's a big boy. He's not 150 pounds like Sammy Guevara.
He jumped and went through the windshield and ended up in the front seat. That was an ugly spot.
Woo.
And I loved it.
Shattered Lexan plexiglass everywhere.
Shattered dreams all over. Kevin Owens ends up also He jumps. He pop-up power bombs Roman onto a table back there. The table doesn't break. Kevin Owens goes up on a bunch of boxes. Frog splashes him. Table does break. He then drags Roman, like they fight over to this is after, by the way, Roman insults his family and Kevin Owens hulks up. He drags him over to what looks to be like a painter's table where they spray paint stuff.
Prop table or something.
Yeah, right. Mock up. Fine. Kevin Owens finds a lift, a forklift nearby, raises the platform all the way up to the top, climbs up on top of it, gets on the platform, and does a beautiful moonsault onto Roman Reigns.
Senton.
So it's not a senton, excuse me. Yeah, like a Kevin Owens swanton.
Yeah.
Onto Roman Reigns from 50 feet in the air. No, sorry, that's where the drone was. We actually saw the drone. We saw one of their drones hanging up there behind him in one of the shots. Goes flying down on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is even more busted up now. Kevin Owens is dragging him back into the arena, screaming, "Whose blood is this? It's not mine. It's yours." That's right. Get back into the ring. Roman Reigns ends up spearing Kevin Owens through the Titantron, a la Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman, which was cool.
Just with
and
less electricity and sparks and drama.
It was still cool. Well, that almost killed those guys. This, there's no sparks, so it did less damage, Nick.
No, yeah.
Ultimately, Roman ends up getting some handcuffs, and we think he's going to handcuff Kevin Owens, but no, Kevin Owens handcuffs him to the bottom of some scaffolding, so Roman can't stand up because his hand's attached underneath it. So Roman, as he's about to get counted down, grabs the ref and throws the ref into some lights. Ref's out. Roman low blows Kevin, which puts Kevin on the shelf. Paul Heyman comes over, unlocks Roman Reigns. He gets out, guillotine on Kevin Owens until he passes out. And that's your match. Kevin Owens can't answer the call. Roman Reigns retains and is still your tribal chief and your universal champion. Nick, I made it kind of quick at the end there because I wanted to get through all that, but I should add that the time between Paul coming out with the key to the handcuffs and Roman getting uncuffed and then hitting Kevin Owens and getting the guillotine on him was interminable. It went on forever, and Kevin had to sell forever.
It felt like they just couldn't get the cuffs undone.
I felt like they legit couldn't.
They were trying both
just,
handcuffs, and the key wasn't working or something.
Killed the match dead, and so then when he finally got Kevin Owens in the guillotine and put him down, it felt extremely anticlimactic to me.
Yep.
After what was a really a very eye-popping slobber knocker spot show of a match before that.
Yeah. It took
what
all
were your
the wind
overall
out
thoughts
of it,
on this?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Did it kill the match for you though, or did you still enjoy the match overall?
I still enjoyed it. It was the last 5 minutes of it. That was really the only thing. And poor Kevin Owens did his best. But yeah, like you said, after they got out of the handcuffs and everything, Roman figured out how to get up onto his feet to just they finally got another ref out there. But yeah, it took all the momentum out of it.
Yeah, the ref started counting on Roman, and Roman had to actually show that he could get to his feet. It wasn't a standing position, but he was on his feet and still kind of leaned down.
There was this awkward moment when they figured out that he couldn't get the cuffs undone, and the ref actually stopped counting. You could see him go, "What? Oh," and he stopped counting.
Yeah. So again, a little bit of a botched finish, which is unfortunate because up until then it was a very exciting match, and unlike anything else on the card, which is what you want. But okay, so we had a good match. Unfortunate finish, but it was another good match in the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns trilogy. Another good match. Yeah. Roman cheats to win. Fine. What happens to Kevin Owens now? The same thing we had to ask about Carmela.
We could fire that back up.
Mm-hmm.
That was when Seth first did his heel turn. Remember, it was him and AOP turning on Kevin Owens.
Isn't that rolling it back too far though?
I don't know. I don't know what Kevin Owens does then.
That's what I'm saying.
What else does he do? I have no idea what. Like we said, Royal Rumble's where we kick off all new stuff. Tomorrow night on Raw is going to be really interesting to see what they do, especially on Raw, but then also on SmackDown. I think there's more going on SmackDown now than there is on Raw. And
I have to admit, I'm actually surprised they debuted some people tonight because a lot of times you'll wait and do them on the day after Royal Rumble if they're a big debut because you don't want to see them get tossed.
Yeah. Yep.
So they had a couple of those tonight.
Yep. Let me catch up real quick. Kyle throwing 100 bits said, "Love how the golf cart spot with Roman was coming off camera, hilarously unexpected." I didn't see that coming anywhere.
Unexpected.
It was
holy crap.
It was just out of nowhere.
All of a sudden, Kevin Owens is dead, falling out of the passenger seat of a golf cart.
All I could hear was JR going, "By God, he's killed him!"
I'm sorry, but Roman cuts an absolutely intensely intimidating figure.
Yeah.
With his current physical condition and his look and everything when he comes
tiny
out.
Nipples, man. I can't stop.
Would you leave Roman's dimes alone? All right? Not all of us can be born with dinner plates like you, Nick. Okay?
It's more like a pepperoni.
Stop floating. Yeah, more like a what? Like a salsicha? A little salami there?
Yeah, like a little salami.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, with the white spots and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The little fat bits.
Yeah, couple little hairs coming out, you know.
Oh, God. Son of a...
Hey, you wanted to go there.
I played on the edge and it burned me.
Thank you, Kyle. J. Wolf threw in 100 bits. He said, great match, but the awkwardness of ref stopping the count for no reason at the end took me out of it a little. Yeah, I agree. That whole kerfuffle that went on with the handcuffs and the ref stopping counting.
I can't sit there and be like, stupid. It's just, it happens.
Yeah,
it sucks.
It happens. Thank you,
Jay. Business, baby. So it sucks. It happens. It's live.
Will James threw in yeah, we're doing it live, damn it. Will James threw in 100 bits, said KO is one of the best in-ring shit talkers I've seen since I returned to wrestling in 2017. He usually pops me mid-match somewhere. Yeah, he's really good on the mic in general.
There was a lot of shit talk in this match that was great.
Yeah.
Great shit talking.
Kissing his hands before he did the senton off the forklift.
Yes.
After all the back and forth
Tattoos.
with calling his dad and his grandpa out and all that.
Fantastic. Roman looking at the sky and being like, hey, Kevin's grandfathers.
Yeah.
Y'all idiots. It's just a bunch of good stuff in this.
And thank you, Will. The Uniwiz, Giardi, resubbed with a tier 1 for 3 months. Thank you very much, Giardi. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what you typed in there. You're doing that just to troll me. I know you are.
Come on. You have to. He resubscribed.
All right. I warned you guys. Blickbar ben ik 3 mand voor de BWO family.
But you tried, Nick. You tried.
You know what? I will give it a good, honest try.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much, Yardy. Enjoy your triple stack of chickens.
Thank you very
much.
My
God, I got a new one.
Chicken.
Good. Chicken.
Yes. All right. So no idea what's happening with KO after this, but damn, they at least except for that pity of a finish.
Yeah.
A great trilogy with Roman Reigns they pulled out here. So Nick, we still got a lot to talk about because we still have a whole Royal Rumble match to go through.
Right.
So let's head over and discuss that.
Okay.
The men's Royal Rumble was next, closing out the show. And sure enough, coming in at number 1, the first entrant, which is kind of arbitrary because really the first and second entrants are the first. But getting his entrance first, Edge. Edge.
I actually thought they had said on Backstage that Randy Orton was going to be number 1 and Edge was going to be number 2, but they reversed it, I guess. I'm not sure.
They did, and it does kind of tell a better story. Sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of like the Shawn Michaels thing where they initially wanted to have like Vince, and like they told Vince the opposite of what they wanted to do, so Vince would change it so that it could be his idea.
It was his idea, yeah.
Right. Like, oh, why doesn't it come out first, pal? Like, have Shawn come out second, and he can win the whole thing, and then Vince would be like, why doesn't it come out first? So it could have been like that.
Great idea, Vince.
Oh, wow, that's Vince. That's way better. I know it is, pal. So that's why I'm the boss. So out came Edge first, and he waited in the ring for Randy Orton for about 2 seconds. And as soon as Randy Orton started coming out that door, Edge went right for him.
And he gave him a big hug and said, I missed you, buddy.
No,
he didn't.
No. Orton had to toss his sweatshirt to get his defense up in time, and they brawled down the ramp back into the ring, and the match got underway. And they didn't just stay in the ring; they went all over the place. It's great because after the big speech that Edge gave when he was retiring, Randy, I'm back to the old rated R superstar. I'm going to destroy you, your soul, all of this stuff, and then none of that ever happened. They didn't pay that off at all. Randy's been farting around with Drew McIntyre and then The Fiend.
Yep.
They needed to remind us that these guys hate each other.
Did you forget about all the concertos? Did you forget about how he attacked Beth Phoenix?
Yeah. He RKO'd his wife.
Yeah.
Well, they reminded us.
Edge got business with Randy Orton.
They've got some business. Yeah. And it was back and forth. Edge mostly on the top until Number 3, Sami Zayn came out complaining the whole way.
With his documentary film crew in tow.
Naturally. And he got in the ring and immediately started helping Randy Orton, which Randy kind of looked at him and went, all right, cool. And then Mustafa Ali came out at 4, and so you had 3-on-1 heels against faces.
Against Edge.
Against the one face. Until Jeff Hardy came out to kind of sort of even things up a little bit. But then Dolph Ziggler came out with his cheer pony and eliminated Jeff Hardy. First eliminations. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming, Jeff. So glad you came back to ouch.
Yeah.
Then we had our first big surprise. Carlito returning and looking jacked, baby.
Good.
Carlito ate Carlito. He's huge. Like I remember Carlito being a fairly in shape dude back in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, what the hell's in those apples?
I don't know, but he might have to check those things at the border. He came out and he's definitely more jacked than he was.
Yeah.
But back in the day, Vince still had a lot of his giants in WWE, and Carlito was not the biggest dude around. He was like average to a little above average. He looks like a giant out there now. A freaking giant. Unbelievable. But in the middle of all of this, the first big swerve happened, and that was Edge putting Randy Orton through a table and then wrecking his leg to the point that Randy Orton had to be led to the back by officials. And the entire time we're watching him get led to the back, we're sitting there going, okay, when's he going to turn around? When's he going to turn around? Nope. He got led to the back. We saw him getting looked at by officials later on in the match. So, of course, I think everyone watching went, all right, when's he going to come back? When's the swerve going to happen? And it wasn't until much later. But we had a whole rest of the match to get through first. Shinsuke Nakamura came out at 7 before Carlito came out at 8. Xavier Woods and Big E came out one after the other. And they restarted their feud with Mustafa Ali, who got tossed by, Hardy went out first. Sami Zayn got tossed by Big E right off the bat. And then Woods got tossed by Mustafa Ali. Ali then hulks up Big E. Big E gets pissed about that, tosses Mustafa Ali. Carlito then gets knocked out by Elias, who came in at number 13. John Morrison and Ricochet had come out respectively at 11 and 12. Little Lucha Underground reunion. It was great.
I also enjoyed Elias pointing at Carlito after he threw him out and went, that's cool.
That's cool. I popped a little bit for that. I'm not going to lie. But then at number 14 came the next big surprise. Damien Priest. Now, he's supposed to have been on the main roster for a while now, but they couldn't find a place to slot him in. So they put him at 14, and then they had him come out and eliminate the hell out of people. He eliminated Elias.
Like a monster.
He took out Miz and Morrison at the same time. I'm trying to see. He ended up Miz came out at 15, then Matt Riddle came out, then Daniel Bryan, and then at 18, Kane came out. Damien Priest eliminated Kane.
Fairly quickly.
Kane
Within
had enough
5
time.
minutes.
Kane tossed Ziggler and Ricochet at the same time. And then Kane got tossed by Priest, which honestly, if you want to make a guy, have him take out Kane in the Royal Rumble. That's the way to do it.
I was surprised to see him, Kane, first of all. Second of all, he didn't really get much done while he was in there.
I mean, he tossed a couple guys.
We had a moment between him and Daniel Bryan where they were going to hug, and then he chokeslammed him to hell. And then Damien Priest threw him out, and they was like, oh, that's it. Oh, thanks for coming, Mayor. I guess.
Yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah.
King Corbin out at 19. He ended up eliminating Shinsuke Nakamura. And actually, Otis came out next, and Corbin eliminated him pretty quickly, which was shocking. Before, Dominic Mysterio came out at 21, and I'll be damned if the kid didn't get eliminated by Corbin. He eliminated Corbin as well. He got tossed by Corbin.
He tossed Corbin.
He tossed Corbin. He gave him a Rana over the top rope to finally get his win back after the last 2 weeks. Yay.
Go Dom.
Problem was, Dominic, Bobby Lashley came out at 22 and tossed that kid through the ceiling. Bobby Lashley threw Dominic Mysterio so high, I was worried he was going to explode on impact when he finally came back down. And Bobby Lashley decided to just destroy things after that. You had Hurricane Helms, a big surprise, coming out at number 23, and Christian coming out at 24.
That's one I didn't expect.
But some people did. I didn't see it coming, but some people did. AJ Styles with Omos at 25, Rey Mysterio at 26, Sheamus at 27, Cesaro 28, Seth Rollins returning at 29, and Braun Strowman, the only one left, at 30. Lashley just ran wild. Lashley took out Dominic Mysterio. He then took out Damien Priest, which was shocking. But at that point, Priest had his rub. It's time to get him out of there. And then he destroyed Shane Helms, not surprisingly, before getting taken out by Daniel Bryan, who then went on a bit of a run of his own. Big E, I didn't see how Big E got eliminated. That was the surprise to me.
Wasn't it by Lashley?
I think maybe at the same time.
And they also had a moment in the match, and I didn't know how bad I wanted to see that match.
Oh, big hosses. Big man slapping meat. Oh, they beat the crap out of each other. It was beautiful.
More, please.
Oh, let's see. Oh, Big E and Rey Mysterio, they were both eliminated by Omos. That's what it was.
Oh, that's
dragged,
right. Omos pulled a Big E over the top
rope.
Big
E over and Rey Mysterio. He pulled them both out.
That's right.
And then ultimately, Braun Strowman's in there. He goes to try to throw AJ out of the ring, almost catches him the first time, puts him back in. And so Braun Strowman the next time just tosses AJ out the other side.
He head fakes him. He starts to throw towards Omos and goes, nope, and then redirects to the other side. And then they just stare each other down, and I just went, yes.
I'd say he broke Omos' ankles on that, but Omos didn't really move.
No.
He's kind of like, oh, well, crap. Damn. But yeah, Strowman ran wild too. He took out Cesaro. He took out Sheamus. He took out AJ Styles, as I just said. And then Daniel Bryan ran wild for a while. Had a nice big bit going there, which terrified me because I'd picked Daniel Bryan to win the whole thing, Nick. And as soon as he went on a big run, Seth Rollins was lurking outside. Braun Strowman was still in there. I'm like, no, it's too early to go on a run. But he and Matt Riddle started beating the crap out of each other. Just chops. Oh, the chops and the kicks.
And the chain wrestling moments that they had, just constant rolling around and doing it like, oh my God, that was a spectacle to see. And again, something I didn't know I really wanted to see.
And it's a pity they're on different brands. But damn shame.
Damn.
But ultimately, sure enough, Seth Rollins snuck back in, gave Daniel Bryan the stomp, and tossed him out.
I do have to disclose, by the way, I know on the show on Friday night I said I was going to ride the Keith Lee train off the cliff. Well, we did find out yesterday that Mia Yim had tested positive for COVID. Therefore, since Keith Lee is her partner, that he was going to be held out as well. So I had to call an audible, and I ended up putting Braun Strowman for the pick'ems. And it was getting down to 28 and 29, and I was just going, oh. So when he came out at 30, I got really excited because 30 is always a really good spot to be coming out at. And for the thinned out field that he came out to, I was optimistic that he might actually pull this off, and we might have something. We even talked about sending Braun Strowman back up against Roman Reigns could be interesting.
Well, and we ended up the final four or so we thought at the time were AJ ended up eliminating Riddle as well, and so we got down to Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, Edge, and Christian. Obviously, anyone was paying attention knew that Randy Orton was still hiding in the wings. But those were your final four. And ultimately, it came down to Edge and Christian working together to take out Strowman. And Rollins then has a little back and forth. Let's see.
He went for a stomp on Edge, and they eliminated him.
Seth takes out Christian at the same time. Then it's down to Seth and Edge. And it was actually a very short little exchange between the two. And then Edge tosses Seth. And it goes like he's about to celebrate, but immediately Randy Orton out of nowhere, RKO, or he tries to, or he gets it.
He does. He lands it.
But he gets the RKO, tries to then toss Edge over, and Edge reverses at the last second to toss Randy out. Randy's shocked, but Edge has won the entire Royal Rumble from the first position. And frankly, the dude ain't young anymore. He looked like he'd been in the Royal Rumble since the first position. Dude was obviously worked. Yeah. But he worked himself right back up. Everything explodes. The pyro goes off. He's pointing at the sign. He's screaming at the sign. He's screaming at the hard cam. We're going home. Edge is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. He is, once again, for the second time, your Royal Rumble winner. So, it's a lot of match.
Yep, that is.
Let's just talk about overall. We gave our opinions as we went through it. What do you think overall? How was this match? Was this a good Rumble? Where would you put this overall as far as Rumbles go?
I think this was a very good Rumble. As beloved as Edge is, I'm wondering if that's the right pick. I feel like there's more to do with Edge and Randy than there is with either of the two current champions right now.
I guess that's the big question.
And one, we had so many new guys. We saw
Yes.
a new up-and-coming superstar win the women's match. We saw a guy that came out of retirement after 9 years win it. And I'm sitting here going, well, there's plenty you could do with Edge outside of being a Rumble winner.
And that's kind of where I was going to go with it.
Tick the box to go the full length. Was this to put him in the Shawn Michaels stratosphere?
Maybe, but here's the thing. On the one hand, I totally support them putting Edge in this position. It's a feel-good story. He definitely deserves a main event spot at WrestleMania. He's done the damn work.
Yeah.
And he is a name that will bring people in, and you can promote that from now until then.
Yeah.
Makes all the sense in the world. Part of me, and they even called him the sentimental favorite, Daniel Bryan. But that's always going to be Daniel Bryan unless Vince's hand is forced. He'll be the sentimental favorite and not get it. And I have to say, Daniel Bryan also by this point has a pretty recognizable name when it comes to people who watch wrestling.
Yep.
Maybe not for as long as Edge, but certainly very recognizable. And if you wanted to build a program between Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania, you could do it. Give the fans that emotional win of Daniel Bryan finally getting the win of something he's never done before. Edge has done this before. Daniel Bryan has never had this accolade. You could have done that, had a main event people would want to see. You could have built Daniel Bryan up for it. This could have been the thing that really put Daniel Bryan back on the map and sent him, rocketing towards WrestleMania. But that being said, I can't fault them going with Edge.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is we get back to the point we made, Nick, on the show was that those are really the two most likely options. Could they have done Strowman? Yes. Could they have done Seth? Yes. Seth would have been a wrong choice because of his heel character and the fact he's already won a Rumble.
Yep.
Strowman would have been a good pick, but it would have been a boring pick, I think. And I don't think it would have played as well in terms of building a WrestleMania main event.
That's fair.
But that's on WWE for not booking him and promoting him properly. It's nothing to do with him. The dude's doing the work.
There really wasn't anybody in the match that I feel like is of the stature that was ready to sort of receive this anointment.
But that's kind of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a deeper problem than who won.
And when I hear someone like JBL say, do the work and make your name on that level, they can't, dude. They're not in charge of their own booking.
Right.
This is not something where like maybe he's keeping kayfabe, but somehow I think he's not. If you're not booked to win matches, if you're booked as inconsistently as Cesaro is, there's no way that they're going to trust you with being a WrestleMania main event because people aren't going to be as invested in you. They're not as invested in you because the company's shown they're not invested in them. Why are we going to get behind them if we're going to be continually disappointed?
Yeah.
So it's a vicious cycle, and WWE's ended up in a place where they now have to have Edge win this, just like they had Randy win it the 1 year and they had Batista win it the 1 year because they're reliant on these big stars from the past to try and pop their crowd and to be that big draw at WrestleMania instead of taking people like a Bianca Belair and elevating them.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just that this was the wrong year. This was Edge's year. He was the right time, the right place, the right story. But as you said, Nick,
does this indicate that we're going to get more Randy Drew so that Randy has the title so that Edge can challenge him for the WrestleMania match?
It wouldn't surprise me. That's what I was going to go with, is that you don't need a Rumble win to have Edge and Randy Orton main event WrestleMania. No. All you need to do is have one of them win the title between now and WrestleMania, and that's a main event automatically.
Yeah.
And you could do, it's what we were saying about Brock winning the Money in the Bank and Braun winning the Money in the Bank. They don't need it. Edge didn't need this win. WWE needed Edge to get this win. And that's saying something about WWE and how they're building and booking their company.
I feel it's one of those feathers in the cap that they wanted to check off for Edge as a sort of, thank you for your service sort of thing.
No doubt. And also welcome back.
Yeah.
It's a feel-good moment.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It is, and it's a great re-debut. Let me catch up for real quick before we wrap up
Indeed.
here. Good Lord, you guys. We got another hype train going.
What?
Man,
oh, my God.
I got a lot to call out, so bear with me here, guys.
Do it.
Thank you guys for all of these. It's absolutely amazing that you guys are throwing so much in. I really appreciate it. Kyle cheered 100 bits, said a veteran Canadian wrestler wins the Royal Rumble from number 1. Vince, Chris who? Never heard of him. Edge is the only Canadian to win from number 1. 2004 never happened. I see what you did there, Kyle.
Yes.
Well done. Thank you very much. Costanza threw in 100 bits, said, I was hoping Bray would come back tonight to kick off the Randy feud. And I have to say, real quick here, there was part of me that thought Randy would come back, but that the Fiend, all the lights would go out and the Fiend would be there as a reemergence after being burned alive, if he is even alive, to interfere and cost Randy as a sort of vengeance step.
It does make me wonder where they're going with the Fiend program if Edge is back and feuding with Orton.
Yeah, Fiend's got to find somebody else.
Or it makes it feel unfinished, if that's the case.
Totally. Let's see. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said Carlito going to get that MVP treatment after coming out so damn swole. Yeah, if we don't see Carlito signed on Raw or SmackDown next week, I'm going to be disappointed.
He was supposed to be back for tomorrow night, and he might be working backstage as a manager. He's been running the Cologne Wrestling Academy down in Puerto Rico. Nice. So, from what I understand. So, he's been working on booking and managing and whatnot. So that's what I understand. But that's kind of what they said about MVP.
Sure.
He's going to come back. He's going to retire, work backstage. And look at MVP now.
Man, bless MVP for 2020. Good Lord. Helped carry us through all that shit.
Amen.
Thank you, Kyle. Jay Wolf threw in 100 bits, said Christian returning brought tears to my eyes, and the dude can still work. And yeah, he looks more jacked than Edge does.
He saw Edge and was like, man, if I'm going to come back, I got to stand next to that guy. I got to look good.
I have to say,
and he did. And
they cut to a close-up of Edge as Christian was coming out, and Edge's face when he started smiling and just had this kind of moment. That was fantastic. When they're
facing each other in the ring, and Edge just kind of goes, like, it gives that, like, hey, buddy, look on his face. Hey, here we are again, old friend. And it was just like, it's beautiful.
Thank you, Jay. Will James threw in 500 bits, and like I said earlier, Birdman.
Thank you.
I seriously almost cried when Christian returned. So happy for that dude to be cleared. P.S. He looks huge compared to today's roster. That's the irony of Christian, is he was like this skinny little shit in the middle of all of these giants in the 2000s.
Right. He's been hanging out, working out with Paul Smackage, Master of the Small Package.
No, I think but I mean, compared to today's roster versus 15 years ago, he's giant.
I know.
He's a big dude.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Will. As we threw in 100 bits, said loved the Brody gear. Yeah, New Day rocking the John Huber gear, Brody Lee gear. Well done.
Amen.
Well done.
Yes. Very good
Thank
feels.
you, Esme. Kyle threw in 100 bits, said pop of the night. Christian, how about Cole's ad read? Are you talking about the Victoria
the Victoria beer? Because Rey Mysterio comes out in a mask that's for Victoria beer, Mexican lager. And Cole...
he goes full voiceover. Victoria beer.
Oh, my God. He went into a full-on commercial in the middle of a Royal Rumble match.
Victoria beer, the pride of Mexico.
Yes. Stay tuned for more on this new pairing between WWE and Victoria beer, the finest Mexican lager. What? Cole? Knock it off.
Oh, God. Now we're promoting beer on WWE.
Yeah.
Family friendly.
Hey, man, they kept Ray around for a reason.
Hey, you guys keep running those anti-vaping commercials, though. Beer's okay. I want to make that clear. Right.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
You just love. Take another hit off your vape.
I will in a minute when I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyle. The Foy UK cheered 100 bits, said after a fairly inauspicious return at last year's Rumble, MVP went on to be one of the big stars of 2020. Could Carlito have a similar career resurgence this year? What do you think, Ian?
I don't know if the same as MVP, because I don't think Carlito has the mind that MVP does. But I could be mistaken. Carlito could shock me.
I think you've got some guys wandering around right now like Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo. You've got Andrade. You've got the Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik. Like
But you're just saying he's going to do the exact same thing and create El Hurt business, and that's not. I don't think that's what he should do. You know what I mean? But I know what you're saying.
There's
Could
opportunities
to
do something, is what I'm saying.
Sure, maybe like get some guys getting a rub off him.
El Hurt business.
What? What?
It's just funny.
First.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, the boy. J-Dog threw in 100 bits. He said, I asked this the other day. Who do you think that's off the radar will have a big Rumble moment? Now that you saw the show, do you think that it had the biggest rub? Who do you think had the biggest rub that you didn't expect?
Priest eliminating Kane was shocking. I was like, okay, they are behind Priest. Now, granted, he got eliminated like shortly afterwards, but it did that was the biggest rub I saw.
Yeah.
On the
show.
show.
The showing that he had in general. He was out there going toe-to-toe, wrecking shit. Like, he looked fantastic. That's arguably the best I've seen Damien Priest, frankly.
His sell when Matt Riddle kicked him in the chest, he just went, oh!
Yeah.
Oh!
You
Priest
could tell
looked
he was
great
amped up and having a good time out there, too. And I think that
so
was one of
weird.
the things that...
It's so weird seeing Punishment Martinez in a WWE ring. I'm just going to say that. But it's great, too. I love me some Priest, and I love seeing him out there and getting, like I said, the biggest rub I saw on the show.
Yep, exactly. Thank you very much, J-Dogs. Andy Jessup threw in 100 bits, said you put Edge back on top where he was when he got forced out, and he can have a swan song and retire on his own terms. Yeah, but there's other stuff you have to put in place before that. You have to, if he's going to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, there's 2 or 3 other steps you have to get through before you can do that for him. And that's my concern. Are we going to execute that properly? Or are we just going to blow our wad at Fastlane where nobody will really care about it? You know, that my concern is how do we get the championship back on Randy? How do we settle the vengeance score with the Fiend before we do that? Like there's these dependencies in place to get to that point that are the one. I'm not concerned about Edge and Randy. They're going to put on a hell of a match at WrestleMania.
Will it be the greatest wrestling match of all time, Nick?
No.
Okay.
We've
already had
the other one could have been if they hadn't called it that. Thank you, Andy. Kyle threw in 100 bits. He said, outside Keith Lee, there wasn't really anyone in this Rumble from a narrative standpoint of young guys that are ready. But yeah, Bryan Roman would be more compelling than Edge Roman. I don't think it's going to be Edge Roman.
I hope it's not Edge Roman. That would be bizarre.
Yeah, that would be not good. I wouldn't want to do that.
It would be fine. I think it actually would be quite good. Imagine the promos. The promos would be sick.
Yeah.
It is an odd pairing, but it would be Roman taking down Edge as another stepping stone.
Do you think Christian's back now too, or was this just a one-off?
I mean, he was bumping in there, so I guess he's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Thank you, Kyle. Esme threw in 200 bits. Said Tony Storm to Maine. Hard no for me. She's got some business down in NXT right now. She's lining up to be a contender for the Women's Championship in NXT. Got a little ways to go.
She loses that.
Huh?
She loses that. What next?
Yeah, it's very possible.
Very possible.
Yeah. Thank you, Esme. Threw in another 200 bits. And shout out to all those awesome promos in the discussion group, by the way. Yes. That cannot go unmentioned. Thank you guys for all of that. It warms our hearts when we see you guys getting into your own levels of kayfabe and stuff like that. I love that we have our sort of universe now. We've been at it for 4 years now. There's some relationships and some rivalries, and there's been enough pick'ems now where there can be
Abraham's
callbacks
closet.
and Abraham likes to stand in a poorly lit place and
attempt to suck us all up his nostrils.
Yeah,
and yes.
Yeah, call out champions, telling them they suck. Like, what are you doing, Abe? Seriously,
I love it. No, it's great.
Will James threw in another 100 bits. Said, while I agree Edge did not quite need this, if you would have said 9 years ago that Edge wins the 2021 Rumble, there would not be a WWE fan alive who would not have signed up for that. Oh, can I raise my hand?
You would not have signed up for that?
No.
Mm.
I'm not a fan. Let me put it this way. There were a lot of people in the ring tonight who have had severe neck injuries.
Yes.
I do not want to be watching TV show watching TV or watching a pay-per-view or any show when one of those guys gets hurt, when they take the last bump.
Right.
I don't want to be watching. And that's why I wouldn't sign up for that. The minute you get hurt, nothing else is more important.
Yep.
That's how I feel about it. And I know there's all this crazy stem cell research, and I know they're going down to South America and getting these treatments that are working. I guess
cleared is cleared. Man.
Yeah. So I mean that's their call. I leave
that's
that to
the
them. Mad respect for still going going the distance at his age. Mad props, mad respect.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was exhausted by the end of it, but also still going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
totally deserved.
All the best to him for sure. Thank you, Will. Esme threw in another 200 bits. Said also I like butts.
My God, thank you.
Just trying to move the hype train. LOL.
And you cannot lie.
And last but certainly not least, Yardy threw in 100 bits. Said with Jay White not showing up, do you think he will stay in New Japan or move to AEW or WWE later?
Great question.
This is
Watch
one I wanted to
WWE.
talk about it in kind of the wrap up here.
Watch WWE in the next couple of nights. Remember when I said they might not have debuted someone they didn't want to have tossed out? People debut the week after Royal Rumble. Stay tuned. It's not over yet. If we get through the next 2 WWE shows and there's no Jay White, then we can let some speculations fly about AEW re-signing with New Japan. He's going through negotiations or whatever, or he's just taking time off to go be with his family, like he said. But yeah, wait and see.
Yeah,
it might be actually that he is looking at going to WWE and wants a couple months with his family, and he'll show up after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, yeah, still the jury's still very out in that. We've heard nothing about his plans. Nothing.
They've kept it under lock and key for sure.
Very under lock and key. And something we've kept under lock and key all show, Nick, is the Patrons Pick'ems Challenge.
Yep.
It happened, Nick, very well fought by our former champion, Brandon Monroe. He came very close. He had another great score. He beat both of us. Barely, but he beat both of us, Nick. Ultimately, though, with a whopping 24 points.
Well, here's what I want to say first before you say that. The top 12 people were all within like 4 or 5 points of each other.
Yes.
That's how close this was.
The top 4 were within like 2 points of each other.
2 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it was very tight at the top. Some great competition there. But our new Patrons Pick'ems champion, Mike Miller.
Yeah.
Mike Miller, congratulations, sir. Well played. Well played indeed. Mike, actually, it's funny. Mike he picked Rhea to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Got that wrong. He also picked, I think, Daniel Bryan to win the men's.
Right.
And so he didn't get either of those. But he was correct about all of his extra bets.
Yeah, he picked Rhea Ripley and Tori Wilson in the women's
to show up, which was brilliant. And then Priest and Christian, he picked Christian out of left field.
I think he was the only one that put Christian down.
I believe he is.
Yep. So that was kind of the ringer right there. Landing Christian won him the pick'ems.
Those bets were win or lose today. I canceled out on both of my bets and only got the women's tag match wrong. But and Daniel Bryan. That was a stake in the heart as well.
Yeah.
But I did beat you on the show, Nick. I beat you by a point on the show, 6-5.
Yep.
But we also
it was close enough.
Sadly,
I enjoy it when they're pretty close like that.
It was close across the board. However, we do have a new booby champ who will be receiving his booby prize as well. Our new booby champ, and we love him, Martin Welch.
Oh, Martin.
Welch played. It's okay. It's all right, man, because there will be a chance to redeem yourself in a couple of months at the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania, and you will be getting your booby prize sent all the way across the pond to you shortly, as will you, Mike Miller. You'll be getting a nice package as well as everybody who beat a host. I don't have all the numbers lined up in front of me right here, but there's quite a few people that beat.
There's 19 of them that beat me, and there's 12 of them that beat both of us.
Really? There was 12 that beat both of us?
Yep.
Good Lord. You guys are animals.
Yep.
Absolute animals. But that's why we love you, and thank you for listening to our show.
I do have to call out a tip from our champion, by the way. He wanted to make an official statement.
Oh, let's hear its official statement.
Rattle a piece of paper around or something. Mike Miller tipped $25 in the tip jar.
Thank
Said, just had my first child on Monday, and she was lucky enough to watch her first Rumble within a week. Here's to many nights up with her listening to you fellas. P.S. Thank God she wasn't born in 2021 to see Goldberg win her first ever title match.
Yeah, she was born for a good Rumble, I would say, and to watch her daddy bring home the BWO gold. Congratulations,
Bravo.
once again. Thank you
Congrats
very
on
much.
your baby girl. That's awesome.
Yes, indeed. And Nick, overall on the show, I mean, what did you think? Did the right people win? Do we think that was it a good Rumble
I
overall?
struggled to nitpick this show. I struggled to
Yeah.
find anything that I didn't like so much that I need to say anything about it. I think it's a solid A. It's a solid pay-per-view.
For me, the biggest moment was Bianca Belair winning. I think the men's Royal Rumble match was better. It was unfortunate with the finish with the Roman Reigns match. Aside from that, yeah, it would just be nitpicks.
I got some qualms with the 24/7 stuff, but even that was over in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with the pay-per-view. It was a good show from WWE, but did the lack of crowd affect it, or did we notice it at all?
I didn't notice it. I don't want to say I'm numb to it at this point, but I am so thankful that we have a venue like the Thunderdome, that WWE did go out and create something innovative like that, because you forget that there aren't fans, especially now that they've kind of dialed in the fan noise piping in and all of the right chants at the right time, and even the countdowns tonight for the Rumble, which are arguably the biggest part of the Rumble matches in the crowd participation, they had that nailed down.
If you're not paying too close of attention to their cheer track underneath, it does it does fade away and just becomes ambient noise, and the ambient noise you expect. And I have to agree, like maybe it is just getting used to it. I wonder, someone who hasn't watched wrestling in a while coming back and seeing it like this, I wonder if it was as obtrusive as it was the first time you and I saw it, the Thunderdome, Nick. Although they have, as you say, dialed it in since then, or if they were able to tune it out as well. Because I agree. I think definitely I didn't notice until I thought about it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's no crowd. And I went, oh, that's kind of sad. But unless I was thinking about it, I didn't notice it, and I was still excited by the matches.
Yeah, I'm at this point where I'm just completely watching the matches now. I'm not even I'm not even aware of it, consciously or subconsciously.
I'm not watching long hair guy and his mom in the front row, or green shirt dude, or any of those. I'm just watching the matches.
Esme threw in 100 bits, said lack of crowd was only obvious during Bad Bunny.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So. But that's the show. That was the Royal Rumble 2021, ladies and gentlemen. That's your new Pick'ems champion, Mike Miller. Thank you, everyone who played. Thank you, everyone who's hanging out with us in chat. Thank you to everyone who hung out with us during the Rumble itself. And thank you to everyone who listens to our show later on in the VODs. We appreciate you all very much. And, of course, an enormous shout-out to our amazing, phenomenal patrons, all y'all who played, all y'all who are just patrons and just like to be supporters of this show and helping Nick and I put on the very best wrestling Twitch podcast show thingy that we can possibly put on. You guys are amazing. We love you very much. I cannot state that enough.
Yes.
Thank you so very much. And Nick, we'll be back on Tuesday. We got to talk about what happens next on Raw.
The night after. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Oh, man, it's going to be hot. Make sure you guys get into the Discord. That we have live chats for every show throughout the week. If you're not in there yet, make sure. I think a lot of people kind of came in and discovered it tonight. So make sure you jump back in for Raw, AEW, NXT, and SmackDown on Fridays. Plus, there's a lot of throwback stuff that a lot of the phenomenal ones are doing throughout the week. Like Andy and Lyle and Jacob and Esme are all in there all the time chatting about throwback stuff. They're watching 90s content, all kinds of good stuff. Plus, we've got tech and gaming and all kinds of stuff happening in the Discord. So don't feel like you're just cordoned off into the BWO area. Go out and explore and go find the rest of the areas. We won't bite, I promise. Well, us tech nerds won't bite. If you have questions about anything,
unless you ask them to.
Well, no, it ain't that kind of Discord server. There are those kinds of Discord servers, but no.
Yes.
No.
Salami nipples.
God. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Subscribe at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Come join us in the Facebook discussion group as well for fun news, memes, all kinds of good stuff over there. And all these links can be found over at linktree.com/BWO. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But my God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.